Hello, welcome to this pick a reflection. I'm just digging your choices out here from my pile of Sharpies. I have 4 Sharpies, so let's do 4 picks. We haven't done one like this in a while where I'm looking at you. So, something has changed, right? What an intense time in the energy for relationships. I mean, I haven't experienced anything terrible, but I certainly did encounter someone today that, like, whenever I encounter this person, I am highlighted on a new insecurity for me to work on in myself. Like, I feel like every time I run into this person, I show him the worst in me. But the benefit of that is that I get to see it. And so, I just take it for that. I just say, okay, well, this is somebody in soul who agreed to come and play this part for me, and I just do my work. And to be honest, I wouldn't have made it to where I am without this particular soulmate. So it's very beautiful, that we get to encounter people that will show us things about ourselves, and that it takes a person that makes us reflect on ourselves, right? It's like, well, I care about how that person sees me, so I look at myself when I interact with that person. Then I get to see myself, right? And in the beginning, it was a lot more of projections and, things that were actually like in me that I would only see in this person. But throughout the years, I've been able to heal all of that. And so this was just kind of like, it was an insecurity in myself that I know is there. And it's about my weight gain, my looks. Because I gained a lot of weight over the past, year, I guess. And I've been heavy before in my life, but when I lost weight last time, I really didn't think that I would put it back on. But I did. And I've kind of worked through a lot of reasons why that is, and I think it's nice to be kind of reminded, oh yeah, you still have that there, you still have that insecurity about your body. And I think it also motivated me to kind of like start walking again because I hadn't been doing any of that. So I hope that you are finding the reflections that you need in the relationships that you have in your life as well. This time astrologically tells us that that's a lot of what the focus is going to be at this time. So I, of course, have been doing that all along in any relationship that I've found myself in for years, because it's a wonderful tool to see what you see in yourself based on the reflection that you get from interacting with someone else. But especially now, that will be highlighted for a lot of us. This is going to be pick 1, pick 2, pick 3, pick 4, and I'm looking to offer you a reflection. And I think maybe I'm sharing an insecurity that I have so that you understand that when I go for the throat kind of with these readings, sometimes I'm really going for the shadow, right? Like if it's shown to me, I talk about it. And I know that there's another way to approach these things, and it's much softer, kinder, gentler. And I think I've done that as well. If you've watched a lot of my pick-a-card readings over the years, then you know that I, at times, have taken a softer, gentler approach. And I feel like the times that I haven't, the times that I've been very direct, perhaps those were the appropriate times to do so, because I did feel like it was appropriate, like I wasn't doing anything wrong. But I also think that it was reflective of the people that I was dealing with, and maybe even how I needed to then deal with myself, which was like, we're dealing with this right now. We are dealing with this. You know what I mean? So it's like stern, parental maybe, instead of that like, oh, if you want to, it'll be here when you're ready. Because really having a balance of both approaches is really important for all of us in our lives, right? There are times where we do need to be affirming or stern or really direct with ourselves and others. And I think it's important to be able to do both. But maybe perhaps sharing some of my insecurity makes it easier for you to know that when I'm looking at an insecurity that comes out in the cards, it's going to be something that I've already probably healed or am dealing with now, or, you know, there's a reason why it's coming out in the card reading that you're watching that I'm doing. Because I'm not talking about things that I don't know about. Sometimes I learn new things. Sometimes I put things together in a different way, like a different configuration of what I've already known comes together in a bigger awareness, sometimes through the readings. So I like that when that happens. But it's all basically, you know, my wisdom. So that means it's stuff that I've experienced. And that's a lot of times why a lot of people, not too many, but a few here and there, I guess, have come to me looking for relationship readings, especially when I do events, right? Not so much for sessions. But if someone comes to an event that I'm at doing readings for cheap, and they want like to talk about relationships, it's usually a topic that I'll shy away from because I don't feel like I have good mastery or understanding of the laws of the universe and how it works yet. Right? I have ideas, I have things I've learned, and I have things that I can share based on what the cards show that I'm sure are appropriate when they do come out in the reading, but you won't find me doing like pick-a-cards that are based on relationships usually. It does happen, it does come out, but unless it's fair relating, because that is what I know about. I know how to make the relationship balanced, but I know that only because I feel energy. I know that because I know what it feels like when an energy's off. You know what I mean? I was starting to write a post today on my Facebook page that actually my tablet died right when I was typing it out or thumbing it out here. And I didn't end up like going back to post it, but basically I was going to share about when I see people, and sometimes I'll see it in readings or just in passing. When I hear someone say you should be proud of yourself, and then they kind of sometimes will even qualify being proud, or you should be proud in that good way. And it's like, if you have to qualify the word proud with in the good way, it means that you know that there's a negative connotation associated with pride, right? With proud. And I want to say that I don't think that it's negative or positive. But I do recognize that there is a capped out it's not a high vibration. It's a pretty capped out vibration as far as like you're not going to come into bliss and joy and happiness on pride. Pride is before courage, right? You haven't broken free and done anything risky yet. You've achieved something that you know people will approve of and that you wanted to achieve, and now you're taking a little bit of self-importance for the matter. When really, every part of the process of you achieving that was just as important as the success. Because you failed before you achieved it, you know what does and doesn't work. You gained a really valuable part of the process by knowing what doesn't work as much as knowing what does work. Or the practice that it took is just as honorable as the achievement once you got there, because without the practice you wouldn't have got there. So it makes more sense to me that we take that up to honor instead of applying pride to our accomplishments, that we honor the process of just life and whatever stage it's in. You know, that way we can still take somebody who doesn't appear to be achieving something by societal standards of success and achievement and still honor their process, because we don't know what that person is actually learning about the process that they're in and how they'll apply it later in their life. This could be someone who's studying the nitty-gritty aspects of homelessness by being homeless. And later in life, they go and solve the entire homeless problem from the ground up. And actually, that could be me, although I'm not keen on experiencing homelessness now, but I have been studying the topic for quite some time and have great ideas on how we can start to address that. So, if I ever was in a position, when I am in a position to fund something like that, that is something that I will be focusing on. But I have been homeless. Luckily for me, it didn't take me years of studying from that angle, because I understand what brings a person to that. I can understand what we can do to prevent that in many cases. And it's a much bigger topic than these few sentences that I'm saying on it, and I really don't want to get off on a tangent. Sometimes I do, but not today. So, yeah, let's look at a reflection for you. I'm going to use my block oracle. Let me show it to you. Have you seen my block oracle? Not in a while. I've put my website here, and we've got that dragon eye with tears. These building blocks here, and then look at this. There's arrows and feathers in this, if you could see. And what I didn't know about this when I drew it was, I watched the movie Thor, and to make Thor's hammer, they put feathers and arrows into that thing that they put magic on and slammed shut or whatever to create his hammer. So I thought that was kind of cool that after I watched the movie Thor and then I realized that was what makes it up, then I looked at my own drawing and I was like, oh my gosh, I was drawing that. So I think that's cool, synchronicities like that, and it just kind of, I don't know, it feels like it was like more of a remembrance to me, right? In honor of other lifetimes and other archetypes and energies that are here. So what I have in here is the blocks. The blocks. The red ones are pertaining to love. The blue ones are pertaining to communication. The white ones are general energy. And I've just added a bunch of these in today. So that's why I'm using it. I love these blocks because they were not the ones I added in today, but the ones that were already there. They were a gift from my brother. And they were actually for another craft project that he had created all of us for Christmas one year, these fidget things that required these blocks. And then he gave me the leftovers when I started my store. And instead of making those fidget things for my store like he was, providing me them to do, I was like, hey, do you mind if I use them for something else? And he's like, no, do what you want, all yours. So I decided to make them a block oracle. And I just love gifts, I love when I'm using a tool that was something that was gifted to me. It just means that much more. My altar is full of gifts, cards, thank you cards, remembrance cards, just like anytime anyone has honored me by giving me a gift or a note, that becomes part of my altar because it's something where I'm going to give back, right? That's a person who has blessed me with goodness from their heart, and I want to honor that, every day. So that's why these are special to me, though. My brother, love him, don't talk to him very often, but think of him whenever I use or see one of the gifts that I have in my home from him. Okay, so that's what we're going to do today. I'm blabby today, huh? Sometimes you get that when you're overtired, right? I spent a lot of time doing stuff today, like errands and some paperwork for other people that took hours of my life. But it's nice to be able to help people when I have that time, and so it felt really good to come home and just be like, okay, that's all done. I'm home. Now let me work out whatever this insecurity is that's been brought to my attention. And let me make myself some yummy dinner. I'm doing intermittent fasting, which is actually so great. I really love it. it hasn't been too difficult. A couple nights it was, because I started to get a headache from not eating, because basically I'm eating everything that I eat in a day within 8 hours. And on a couple of the days, it was like I wasn't hungry to eat again within the 8 hour span. So if I didn't eat like right before the 8 hours was up, then by hours later, I was really like with a headache, just wishing that I could have had something to eat just to like feel more equilibrium. I guess that might be blood sugar, I don't know. But on other days, it's like I'll have to force myself to eat something right before the 8 hours is up, so because I know later I'll be hungry. But on those days, I still feel a lot better the next day. I feel fresher. I feel like I slept better, So I think it's worth it to kind of help my body get on this schedule of like only eating during certain daylight hours and no like evening snacking or anything like that. My body is much, much happier, and it matters to me that my body's happy. You too, right? One of my coping mechanisms for earlier on in my life was that I was dissociative, meaning I left my body, like energetically stepped out of my body, and I was desensitized, I wasn't grounded, but I was very traumatized, so it felt heavy energetically to be in my body. So a lot of people are come to Earth and they're born like in their body, but I wasn't. I was born and I left my body, and I kind of hovered around my body, and I came into my body through my crown chakra, which means through like the portal that shows me that my connection to all, to everyone, to all things, to my knowing of being one of God's children. And then into my third eye, where I can see very deeply into people and read this energy and things like that. And then into my throat chakra, where you saw me for years just like speaking my mind so openly, so blatantly. You think I speak freely now? No. I do speak freely now, but then I was speaking about all kinds of shadows and just like anything. I did not... Freedom of speech, I embraced it. I had no shame about it. And then I started to get into my heart chakra. And my heart chakra, frankly, opened until I had to go through my descent. And this was the process of really getting into my body. And that's when I started having to look at my solar plexus and my ability or inability to take action and to take responsibility. And my sacral chakra, where I'm like passionately driven to follow passion, to follow my desires, things like that. Things that I wouldn't have allowed myself because I wasn't even connected to them before. And then my root chakra, feeling grounded and safe, feeling safe on the earth. That came last for me, right? And that is what I'm working on now, my root chakra, feeling safe on the earth and feeling safe to be in this body. And it's interesting because... of course I'm safe in this body, and my knowledge knows it. My body and me are establishing our relationship so that we can all be on the same page about what my body needs and how I'll respond to those needs, and that I will respond to those needs and all that. So that's been really great. The insecurity about my weight comes in at the root chakra, because the way that I used to operate on Earth was based on the old paradigm of lack, where we dealt in power struggles, where somebody had to be grabbed onto somebody else, where we looked outside of ourselves for reassurance. So it was like, I need to be attractive in order to have value, in order to get the attention that I need, and the attention equates to love, right? So there was this way that I was dealing with life, which required me to be attractive in order to feel comfortable. And I feel like I'm now dealing with life on different terms, where I've understood that that's of the old paradigm, that the whole seducing men sort of thing is not very healthy. It's imbalanced, and I'm all about fair relating. And so I feel like if you are going to entice a man sensually on his lower chakras, that you can't really be surprised when he deals with you on the lower chakras of game playing and just lower density and not committing and not meeting you in the mind. And mind is what is a turn on to me. You know, like I want to be dealt with on these upper chakras where we are involved in knowing our soul's purpose, our soul's prompts, following our soul's calling, honoring what we're here for, you know, expanding through humanity, expanding for the good of all, not just myself. You know, those lower chakras, when we're living in fear, it can seem really important to be selfish and only look out for ourselves. But from these upper chakras where you can see that we're all connected, that makes absolutely no sense, right? So in dealing with life on these terms of being of the mind that I want to create the win-win-win in all, I don't want to create my importance based on my level of attractiveness to society or certain men or anything like that. You know, it's nice, it's fine if someone finds me attractive, but I don't need that. And that doesn't mean anything about me or my value. You know what I mean? It's just like some things are beautiful to some people and some things are not. And that's basically it, you know? If we're going to deal in a balanced way, of course I find some men attractive, some much more than others. And I'm still breaking apart that little, because it's not just, I am still a human, and it's like, I want to say feral, but that's not the right word. It's primal. Those attractions are primal. So I don't think I'm gonna like be able to like disappear my primal urges, you know, for attractiveness and masculinity and strength and confidence and all of that. I get that has a place in it, and I'm still trying to find that out. And so dealing with my own insecurities, I think, is kind of in that soup of figuring that out. But like, yeah, there's a couple men that when I see them, and it doesn't happen very often to me, to be honest. I'm pretty neutral, easygoing. I'm not really about like shallow things, really, in my opinion. But a couple men, like, you know, I just see and I'm just like, oh, yum, you know? And, or, yeah, it's just these, one is a man on TikTok and one is a man that I sometimes get to encounter, I guess just in passing now. And, and I do kind of think that there is something like maybe on a soul level also that ties me in, because I feel like, you know, we'll have to see as I kind of clear this up and get more clear on my whole programming. But like one of them, you know, is somebody who's helped me on a soul level play a part for me to poke things in me that made me learn to have more self-respect. And then the other one is someone who actually works on some of the causes that I find interest in, like homelessness. So maybe there is this dual nature to the attraction, but in the moments that I'm seeing it initially, it's just like, whoa, you know, the looks seem to be the thing. But so we'll see as I clean this up. I can't believe I'm talking about this right now. I'm not drunk. I haven't had any substances or whatever. I'm just being pretty raw. Filled my water jugs at the water spring today. Do you have a water spring near you? If you do, highly recommend. It's the best water there is. It's like living water, you know? And I always have nice conversations at the water spring. Yeah. Great people. Okay, so what do you say? We've talked for 24 minutes. You know a little bit more about me. I'm open to knowing a bit more about you, so feel free to share. I'm asking my Light Seers Tarot right now for pick one, who you are right now. And the cards have fallen. As usual, whatever I've said here in the beginning will probably tie into the reading in some way. That's one thing about being this weight. It's like, it's not pleasant. Like, it's hard to move around and stuff. So, you know, I'm going to start hiking tomorrow, and maybe I just won't stop. And by next month, we might be feeling a lot different. So if you're ready to start a journey like that, let's do it. Report in. Let me know you're doing it. Or follow along. I'll keep talking about it. So, because I know that I get inspired when others are talking about their journey. When I see other people making progress on their fitness journeys, it is inspiring to me. So I might as well share mine too, right? Pick one. Let's do this. Pick one. Pick one. You're in a coping mechanism or something. Could be an addiction or something that you know that you do this when you want to feel better. But I think you're also ready to step out of it. You're like, something's got to give. This isn't getting me anywhere, and I feel held back from what I'm meant to be doing right now. And I'm just sick of having to strategize everything and work with or around this particular topic, and it's holding me back, and it's making me feel bad. And it's okay. So first, let's talk about not judging yourself. Can you surrender and be where you are right now, right? It's okay. You've done nothing wrong. You are an innocent, beautiful, majestic human being who is here having a human experience, which does include some of the lower density energies, which does include living in patterns and loops and repeating things, right? Because that's the nature of being human. Humans are programmed to operate without even being aware of their operating system while it's running. That's how we work. So this coping mechanism that you're in is something that you picked up along the way at a very key, important time of your life when you needed to find a way to cope. You were in some sort of circumstance. Either you were very confused, you were overwhelmed, or there was a very painful, uncomfortable feeling that you didn't quite know how to process through or deal with or be present with. So you developed this coping mechanism. Now you've been doing this. Now you're realizing, okay, it's not working. It's not getting the results it used to. I don't feel good about what it is doing when it does get the results. Or I've just seen it for what it is now, and it's just not going to be working out for me anymore. Okay? So it's okay to be there. It's okay. Nothing is wrong. That's where you are. That's where you're meant to be. We have this idea, and it's programmed into us from the punishment and reward parenting paradigm, where we're shamed to be held into appropriate behaviors, right? And it makes us think that when we've realized there's a place where we can improve, that we're shameful and that we've done something wrong. And it's like, no. It's just like a toddler. You're not just like come out of the womb and now you fit into this box of prescribed behavior that your parents would prefer. Some of our parents operated as if that would or should be the case, but that was never ever the case. And so those who did have parental units that operated in that way, it was probably because they were treated that way as well. We're not here to blame them or shame them. We are in an evolution of humanity, so you happen to be the one who's breaking apart this cycle by noticing it, by being aware of it, by getting sick of it, right? Like you're just tired of it. You're over it. You're over it. I can see that you're over it. Okay, I'm sorry, but this is probably my son replying, so I'm just gonna peek at him. He's fine. Let's see what else we got. Okay. We've got contract, and it's a love block. Fidelity, a love block. Dreams, a love block. Mad, a love block. You're madly in love and found. Interesting. Okay. So, you found that this pattern doesn't work. This coping mechanism you're in has to do with your love relationships, your commitments, and your wanting to be faithful in a relationship. And maybe even like, it could be that your dreams are haunting you about the situation, or you're finding like that your reality is not matching what you dreamed of, or what could be. Your dreams are revealing something that would be more preferable to you. Maybe this is really driving you crazy, I think. Let me see what else comes out of the block book, okay? Media. So you may have found somebody on social media. And now you have a decision to make. Alright, so if this is something like you're in a committed relationship and then you got mad at each other and then you decided to like go on social media and then you found somebody that's like an old love and now you're like you're faced with the idea of like cheating or something, like, I'm not going to judge you, but the quality of your life is based on the decisions you make. So if you feel like you're in a relationship that is over, and you would not like somebody to do to you what you're thinking about doing to someone else, you may want to take the high road, right? Like end the relationship before you start something new, but that's your decision to make. So whatever you're putting out for energy is what you will experience. If you don't get to experience it and understand it fully in this lifetime, there will be another lifetime for you to do that in. So it's your option, right? Now, look, I'm not judging you. I'm not like sitting on some high horse saying I would do it better than you. In this lifetime, I just happen to know that that's nothing I would do. And you know why? I probably did it in other lifetimes. In fact, I'm pretty darn sure that in another lifetime, at least one, maybe several, I was unfaithful and I did go outside my marriage, and I learned that that's not who I am, that's not who I want to be, and I learned that through the consequences of my actions in previous lifetimes. So I already understood that that wasn't something that I was going to do, but that is because my soul already learned the lesson. Now, if you're ready to do it, your soul might not have learned the lesson. Are you going to learn the lesson by taking the high road and then going from a soul level after you pass on and looking at the consequences of that? Or do you want to take the low road? And I say the low road, you're on the low road right now. I can see that. So this is an invitation. Do you want to take the low road and look at the consequences to that? Because I'm just going to tell you a little story about one lifetime that I was brought to, where I was in a marriage with a man, and you know, these two men that I'm going to tell you about are in my lifetime in this incarnation, but different roles in this incarnation. So I did get to meet up with them again, and I did owe some karma to them both, and here's why. In another lifetime, I was married to this man, and he was very, very tightwad, frugal with his money. And he had a lot of it, but he didn't want to spend it, and I wanted to spend it. And he was just too shallow and wanting to like focus on his material possessions. Probably instead of focusing on passionate endeavors like decorating and creating, and you know what I mean. Okay, so eventually I go start having picnic lunches with a shopkeep in town. He owns a shop, and he's a more, passionately driven entrepreneur who I eventually have an affair with. Then it comes time where these men find out about each other, and this is in the time period where these type issues were handled by dueling. So there's a duel that ensues between these two men, the one that I'm married to and the one that I've fallen in love with, and they kill each other. They both die in the duel. So the consequences in that particular incarnation of me going outside my marriage is that I spend the rest of my life alone, maybe also wealthy, and learn that wealth is not where it's at. You know what I mean? And that had I handled a situation differently, no one would have had to die. If I had just been honest, if I had just been courageous enough to be authentic and truthful with myself. And so I'm not telling you this so that you think that I'm going to judge you if you still wanted to, follow your own passions. You know what you're driven to. But I think that if this is the kind of situation you're in, you are being faced with a decision, and it matters. Maybe you need to reach out for some support for what the underlying feelings that you're having are. And if that is not the situation you're in, that you're facing infidelity as a choice for yourself, perhaps it's you are the party that somebody has been unfaithful to. Okay? So take what you need from whatever I'm offering for you to reflect on. I'm just going to keep going and not worry too much about who this reading is meant for. Have you fallen into the same old routine that needs to be shaken up a bit? Do you have the tools you need to move through whatever uncomfortable feelings it is that you're trying to avoid by doing this? Can you get a little bit fancy instead of being drab, shake things up a little, change something within before you go outside and try to create chaos? Excuse me. Celebrate how far you've come. Get rid of anything that is no longer needed. Just start doing it, piece by piece, one by one. If you're the person who got cheated on or something like that, I would want to encourage you to dress up, celebrate yourself, understand that you can get through this, that you have found something out that's very important, and that now you have a decision to make. Do you want to stay in that place where you feel like something was taken from you, where you feel less than, where you judge yourself based on how you were treated? Or do you want to pick yourself back up and go out and see what else there is for you in life? Can you use this opportunity to help yourself move through any stagnant, stuck energy that was around your heart? And realize that, yes, it hurts, and yes, there'll be a mourning process to go through, and you should allow that for yourself. But it is just a process that leads you to what's on the other side. Okay? You may want to change your routines and get some support and make sure you have the tools to move through and handle what it is that you need to do now. Okay. So we've only been at this 15 minutes. I'm just asking for a moment. I'm looking at all my cards over here and I'm asking, are there any other cards that I should look at for this? Let's take something from this deck. Maybe it's that you found a supportive someone. Okay, so say there's not a marriage with infidelity in this situation. Say it's just like you did find somebody, a mate online, and it's a brother, someone supportive of you. Reach out to a good friend for support in this situation, whoever you are, whatever's going on. Know that you have plenty. Know that there is every reason to open your heart. I know that sometimes heartbreak can break our heart open, if that is what's going on here. Don't back yourself into a corner of thinking that there's not enough, okay? And the other thing is, if you were like the miserly person, right? If you were someone who didn't want to spend money, because you were, trying to make sure that you always had enough and were hoarding a bit, this is kind of saying, well, get out there, celebrate, dress up. You have plenty. Go live with your abundance. Fidelity could be like a bank name, or like a, I think that's the name of a 401k kind of company or something. Yes, again, soft, gentle leader, masculine, advisor, helper. And then we've got smoker and midnight toker. Take it easy, slow down. There is a passionate thing that you want to follow. So you're basically breaking down some coping mechanisms, right? So even if like you were in a stuck situation and one of your coping mechanisms was to be dreamy about the possibilities, like maybe it isn't that you actually have a conversation and a setup to cheat or something, but that you entertain possibilities in your mind of what it could be like to be with that person, or to reach out with that person, or to go back to that person, or whatever it might be, And it's like, what are you trying to avoid when you do that? What certainty are you trying to gain? Are you trying to remind yourself that you're attractive and fun and abundant? You are those things, so you can celebrate that and start living as if you are. So whatever it is you want, you can be that thing, right? You want excitement, be the excitement. Meet your own needs. You may not feel strong enough at this time, and that's okay too, right? That's why it's a lot of information here about support. Reach out. I think you also may feel like changing the routine that you're in is going to start some sort of trouble for you. It'll be too hard. It'll be a fight. Like, it's not going to go easy for you or something. So that's why support and tools. So especially if you were like trying to leave a marriage or something like that, I get it. Like, it's going to be difficult. Reach out. Take it slow, one thing at a time. Get the perspective of somebody outside of you that loves you and cares for you unconditionally. Okay? Know that there is a way out. There is a way to get through. The perspective you're in is not letting you see that there are some steps to take. That's why you need to reach out. Somebody else has another perspective. Even if it's like looking on social media, like I follow some accounts on Instagram that are talking about conscious relationships. And I love following those because they're giving reminders and insight to me that it's not just me that wants to go on the high road. There's others like me. And another thing is that, I just lost that thought. There are some like YouTube videos about relating dynamics, difficult ones, how to deal with certain types of people, like attachment styles. There's Heidi Priebs, Priebse, or something like that. She has a great channel about attachment styles, and she talks about how to deal with certain people and certain attachment styles. Like anxious attachment, those are the people who need a lot of reassurance, or avoidant attachers, and those are the people who are not going to invest in you emotionally. things like that. It's like learning about that can help. Like you strategize and understand what steps would need to be taken. And another thing is there's something called conscious uncoupling. Conscious uncoupling talks about the steps you take to part ways with a partner where you are taking responsibility for your own part in it the whole way. There's no fighting as you part ways. Even if one party is not going to participate and not going to be happy about the dissolution, I'm not going to try that word anymore. The breaking apart of the relationship. Conscious uncoupling allows us to still take those steps and to still do that consciously for ourselves. And when I say consciously, the importance of conscious behavior is that we are aware of it so that we can act in a balanced way. Now, when we are acting from our unconscious behaviors, which some of our routines are, we are acting in response that was trained or programmed into us. We haven't made a conscious choice about using that energy in a balanced way because we literally adopted it as either a program that was shown to us from our parents or one that we adopted to avoid a pain or confusion that was presented to us from our parents. You see? So, becoming conscious of the patterns that you're in, whether or not you leave this relationship, whether or not this is a relationship, whatever you're in, it's going to be beneficial to become aware of it. And so you have to kind of start digging within yourself, but you might feel like you wouldn't even know where to look. And that's why you're going to talk to some people. Get some ideas. Ask the universe. Ask and you shall receive. Ask for some answers to be shown to you, and they will be. There is support out there for you. You just have to decide that you want it. And just start, right? Just start. It's like, all you have to do is start. One step, one step, one step. Don't sell yourself short. Yeah, we got this marriage, divine union, balance, and sunset, and it's in reverse. So sometimes people find when they go through the conscious uncoupling process that they don't actually have to uncouple. It's just that the process brings you through to an awareness of your wounding patterns so nicely that you are able to meet each other in presence and growth. And that's really what you need to be doing with a relationship that's going to last, right? There is a contract here, so it could be a marriage and it could be a soul contract, like something where your soul wanted to learn something from this person. So it looks like there likely is another person that this scenario was playing out with, but it could be like every other person, you know what I mean? Because we touched on attachment styles, and that means that you're going to attract a certain type of relating dynamic in a partner when you have a certain type of relating dynamic that is imbalanced, because the universe is always seeking balance. So if you go this way, you're going to attract someone who goes this way, and then the universe is going to try to get you to kind of come into this like balanced place, you know? But if one won't, or if you won't, like it's, you know, and you're not meant to do that with every partner, but every partner is going to at least show you something, and especially if it's out of balance. Okay? And a lot of times when we have dysfunctional relating patterns in our subconscious programming, a safe, balanced partner doesn't seem very appealing to us. And that's because we're not healed enough to even match with that person. We're going to be attracted to somebody who is imbalanced in a way that matches our imbalance. So we will get activated in the wound so that we can seek balance. And once we have come to balance, then we can match up with somebody who's already in balance, right? So two people out of balance that are willing to grow together and be balanced can stay in union. Okay. Pick one. This is a lot of information to reflect on, and I know it was pretty... I was going to say raw and to the point, but I've already used those terminologies in this recording today. But there they are again. So, Yeah, you're doing great. You know, as far as humans go, like, yeah, you're learning a lot. Yeah, it's hard, but you can do it, and like, you're ready. You are ready. I know that you're ready. This is the Fool energy. This is like, it's like you're so fed up that you're ready to kind of go where others won't go, say what others won't say, take a risk, pioneer in a new direction. You are ready. I can see that from this situation, okay? So, you get to decide, and it's easier to decide when you become consciously aware of what is causing your decision, what you are deciding in the first place, right? If you just decide based on the imbalanced perspective that you're already in, and you are in it, according to those cards, you're going to get results accordingly. So if you can balance out the energy by getting the support and looking into some things first, that's going to be very, very, very helpful. Okay? Break your routines, get some tools, reach out for support, and then make your decision. Celebrate how far you've come, because I know you need some fun. Like, it doesn't have to be a terrible, awful process like filling out 2 hours worth of paperwork, It's just like, it's life. So you're at this stage of life right now. It is what it is. Okay, pick one. Only take what's helpful to you. Leave the rest for someone else. Thank you for being here. See you in a future one. Hi, pick two. Okay. Here's your reading. Let's see from the tarot where you're at right now. So we got the King of Wands in reverse, the Three of Cups, the Four of Cups, and the Nine of Cups. I think you're kind of feeling like the wind got taken out of your sails for a moment. You may be reminiscing and thinking about some past losses. Maybe thinking about how happy you were, and the loss of like what you thought things should be. Either that or you've left that behind and you are moving on to what it could be. You're very devoted to somebody here. Maybe lustfully. Could have been very lustful towards somebody. And now you're holding back your passion. There's a lot of mystery in this situation. Yeah. You don't know. You don't know, right? You don't know, right? How helpful this reading has been for you so far. Okay. You have love growing. Your feelings are growing in a situation. And I feel like it's causing you to have to disassemble some of the coping mechanisms that you were formerly operating under. And to allow yourself to receive your wish fulfillment. Okay, so some people, I was just flashed like an example. Some people get really scared when they're about to get their wish fulfillment. They'll sabotage themselves if in their subconscious programming something has happened previously that said, no, don't believe it, no, it's too good to be true, no, I'll never open my heart like that again, or if you get it, it'll just be taken away. Like, any of that kind of stuff starts creeping up for some people when they have what they want right in front of them. And this, I think this is kind of something like that, where the thought of having what you want, you don't even allow yourself. You're just like, nah, it's not even possible. Okay, I'm sorry to laugh. It was just like I heard it's something old, I'm just going to say it. It's not even humanly possible. And it was... I don't know why it just flashed in my mind, but it was like, It was just an old joke somebody used to say. Okay. Private, beauty, gallant, and magical. I think that you want this. You really want this, and I think you know that your memory of what's happened in the past is what is in the way. I think you know it. I think you feel like you're being divinely guided towards this. And it's making you have to face the things that you put in your own way, like the things that said, no, can't do it, no, it'll never happen, no, too good to be true, no one like that exists for me, you know, anything like that. You've got some dim hope. You might be willing to experiment, right? You might be willing to like stick your toes in. You're scared though, because it would be like you could get caught in the web. You're waiting. You're not decided at this point. You feel like it could be just a fairy tale. Way too magical thinking for you. And you're not allowing your passion to lead you someplace that you'd want to go. And you're not allowing your mind to think that it's possible. You are allowing your broken heart to lead in this situation right now. Okay. This is a human condition, right? This is what humans do sometimes. Like, you have a lot of lust for this situation, but you won't let it lead you into this because you know that your heart is at risk of falling so deeply in this situation, and you don't want to get your heart involved. You would rather it be just a shallow thing. You don't trust it because it is your wish fulfillment. You may even be keeping somebody in the way. You may even have opted for a more shallow dynamic with somebody else. Pursue. I think you want to pursue. I think you'd travel there, whatever it took. I think this is causing you a lot of pain, frustration. Maybe you've gotten an astrology reading, or maybe you want to. There's something about your ex-partner here. So for some people, this is an ex-partner that you're thinking about. And for some people, it's the ex-partner situation that made you decide never to take a chance on this again. It's saying brave and spirit totem. Are you getting messages from animals around? When 3 or more gather, or there's an animal or insect or something getting your attention, or a bird. Birds have been getting my attention a lot. Those could be messages for you. Like, you could look up the spirit totem meaning for those. Yeah, you're receiving messages from the divine about what it is you want. And there's too much mystery. There's too much unknown. You know your misery. You know your coping mechanism to avoid investing, deeply in your heart. But this is calling you to something where you don't know what that's going to be like, right? Your mind wants to tell you that it thinks it knows, but you know that your mind doesn't know. That's why it's a thing, right? That's why it's here for you to reflect on. Look at the astrology. Maybe it's written there too. Whatever the situation is, it could offer you insight. Oh. You have a chance towards secure attachment, secure love, and devotion, and a focus on growth. And it would be magical. And no one knows about this but you. And you're barely even letting yourself know about it. You got wonderful beauty, flourishing, fairy, webs. Webs is like the stories we tell ourselves. You're telling yourself it's a fairy tale that shouldn't be trusted. You're waiting. Wow. Okay, so listen. You got a pain body being brought to your attention right now. Now we've got destroy, child, and career. Perhaps you feel like this would be a destructive move, right? Because your inner child's like, no, buddy, no, we don't trust that. And it would maybe destroy something that you've built up. Well, a protective thing, right? Could affect your career. Some more here. Alright, so this wound pattern needs your love, your attention. You're looking at this life through lack, right? You're looking as if it wouldn't work out. There's nothing here for me. This is just the same old person that I knew. I knew someone like this before. I know how they made me feel. Ooh, I don't want to feel like that again because I remember how bad it hurt. It was a snake in the grass. I'm going to slither away from this situation. Okay, listen. You can look at life through the lens of lack and fear and pain. And when you do that, that's the results you get. So you're always going to attract people like you that will honor you where you're at, which means they will be shallow like you. They will not invest in you like you're not investing in them. They will disappoint you like you expect to be disappointed. They will tell you that you're not doing it right, not doing good enough, demanding of you, expecting of you, not getting to know you because you're not allowing yourself to get to know them on a deeper level. If you knew them on that deeper level, you probably wouldn't have even gone there because it's not your wish fulfillment, right? So the other thing is, if you want to approach life through your healed perspective, where you know you're whole, where you know that each experience you have is a separate experience, that you can go into an experience with no expectations and no attachment to outcome, and that you can handle yourself fully. And if your heart starts to grow emotions, that you can handle that. So if that's the thing that you can't handle, is that your heart was going to grow emotions. Let me tell you, there's nothing that's going to stop it. Your heart, what's one of those plants that you can't kill? What's one of those plants that you can't kill? Weeds, dandelions. No, there's some certain plants that you can't. Rhubarb, you can't kill rhubarb. Very hard to kill rhubarb, I know. But you know what I mean? Like your heart's like that. Your heart's never gonna quit. Has eternal, infinite energy. And it wants what it wants. So it also wants you to be free of any fear. So this was going to require you to go into childhood and probably look at your attachment wounding. And there's some great information online on YouTube. I talked about it in Pick 1. But Heidi Probst, Preisbe, or BSC, something like that. Heidi, she has a great channel. She talks about attachment theory, and very, very helpful there. So you can learn some things about your attachment theory, why you're operating like you are, and she's going to talk about some of the root causes that can cause that. And so, this used to be something that would be at the root of narcissism, and they used to say that narcissism couldn't be healed, and that's just not true. It's absolutely not true. If somebody wants to heal what coping mechanisms they have, they absolutely can. Even the people who think that they can't access their emotions, like what Heidi has explained to me, which was so helpful to me, and I saw it in myself, which made it even more hit home, was basically that certain attachment styles, and it's probably the one that you're in, avoidant attached, means there's a moment there that you use your logical mind to switch a story on that allows you to avoid an emotion from even ever coming up. So you might think, well, I don't have a feeling about that. My feelings are not involved in this. And that's true from the perspective you're in, but that's not true from the biggest picture view in the view of your body and your energy. An energy reader could see that you're actually bypassing the energy. you probably find it harder to see it because your ego has developed a coping mechanism to protect you. So your ego's not going to say, hey, look at this thing we're doing to protect us. No, your ego's like, yes, perfect. You flawlessly move past that and you never have to look at it again. Well, actually, your heart's been speaking up and wants you to look at it again. That's why you're getting this reading about reflecting on it, right? Because you're cut off from your wish fulfillment, and you don't have to be. Your wish fulfillment lies on the other side of dealing with this wounding pattern. Now, here's what happened to me. I was with my life coach. She's so wonderful. And because we've built a rapport and I trust her, I was telling her about something, and I was like telling her the preface of the story. I was like, this, and this happened, and then this. And this was the thing that I wanted to focus on. That's what I was trying to share with her about what I was wanting to look at. And she said, well, wait a minute. Let's back up a bit. Like, tell me about that again. What happened? And I told her, and she's like, and what did you feel when that happened? And I was like, because I trust her, because we had a rapport, because I had lots of breakthroughs with her before. I went into it and I was like, I guess I didn't feel anything. As soon as that happened, I started telling myself a story. Like, my logical mind started telling me a story, and then it was like, that's not important, go to this, right? And then because she was questioning me, and because I know she's an intuitive, and because I've had great breakthroughs with her help before, with her poking or prodding or, probing, I said, all right, well, let me just take a minute and look, see if there's any feeling there. And I slowed down. I went back to the moment. I relived what it was that had been telling her about it in the moment that I was. And then I pushed aside the story that I was about to tell myself. And then I was like, oh, I feel, and it was like, I don't even know what it was now, right? Like, because it's healed now and it's gone. But like, I remember it was like, oh, I realized there's a feeling here. And then I just like I opened my space up, my energy body, and I just said, all right, you can be here, feeling, you can be here. And I let it come up. And like, a few tears came. Now, I'm able to have good releases sometimes, but my energy body, my central channel's open, so my energy goes shoop, shoop, shoop. I process things very quickly. I don't need very long at all. And so my mind can often bypass things that need to be felt emotionally, and that's what had been happening. Because, yes, my energy channel is quick, but my mind is I used to say that I'm a deep thinker, not a quick thinker, but in some cases I am a quick thinker. So in this case, I was being a quick thinker, and it was actually sabotaging me. And so by slowing down, going back in that moment, I let the emotion come up, I let myself be with it, had the tears of release, and then it was just gone. And it's so gone that I can't even remember exactly what it was, right? And she knew it because just like me, now, I couldn't see it in myself because, we're biased to ourselves, and we have egoic coping mechanisms and structures in place to avoid seeing ourselves and things that we want to avoid feeling, right? But she can see my egoic coping mechanism, so when I talk about it, and she can feel the energy, she's like, I'm talking, and like, bloop, and she's like, oh, wait, let's look at that bloop. And I'm like, there was a bloop? So she could feel the energy was off. Right? And so she directed me there. And then so for people who have decided not to work with their heart or their emotional body and just use logic to navigate life, they have a lot of those bloops that other people can see. And specifically, there's that paradigm of the narcissist and the empath or whatever. And I don't really care about labels very much at all. These are just like energetic experiences, or experiences that have been defined in certain ways and don't always fit in that, and sometimes are on a scale of that and whatever. So, but empaths would be they say, oh, I can feel it. It's like, yes, they feel a bloop because they can feel subtle energy. Empaths can a lot of times feel subtle energy because they had to be on high alert as children to kind of like read the room so that they could navigate, like it's like they're making the most out of a situation that they had to survive, they had to use to survive. But after they heal whatever they were surviving or whatever they were trying to survive, they can use that as a skill. So, that's what I'm doing, right? When I feel a bloop, it's like I'm using it as a skill. So there's nothing in me anymore that goes, oh, I need to fix that in you, or I want to rescue you from that. Or there used to be. There absolutely used to be. I used to be gravitated towards people I felt bloops in, and I wanted to help them get out of the bloops. But now I'm more repelled by bloops in some cases. There are some people that I know that I'm meant to be holding space for, and I do that, and sometimes that's from a distance, and that's fine too. But more or less, I do believe that people can ask for my help, and then I'll help them. And so you might need somebody that can see your bloops, is my point, right? So if you have somebody that you can reach out to, that you trust, that you can that can help you, I wouldn't want you to do this with like somebody who you didn't trust, that didn't love you unconditionally. And like even our parents are going to have like some parents who may have been present in dynamics like this. It's not in their operating system to let you see and heal certain dynamics, because then they have to heal their dynamics when they see the reflection of it off of what you've healed. Like when you become a healed version of this, then you shine a light on it in other people just by standing next to them, because they can see you and they can see that you're not blipping anymore. It's just like a feeling they have, even if they don't identify as energetically sensitive. Okay, so the basic big picture of what I'm saying is like, it's nothing's gone wrong here. You're having a certain human experience that a lot of other people have had. So many so that it's been studied, and there are books, and they used to say it couldn't be healed, but it can be healed. It's a choice, and it's very, very, very subtle energy. So if you came to experience this, and you're in this reading, and you're able to like understand what I'm saying, you came to deal in very subtle energy, right? You are very sensitive. You know how to feel subtle energy. You might be really interested in astrology and numerology, and kind of those are languages that can be used to apply to the energy so that you can understand, sort it out, organize it, and express it more easily. That's all that is. Because you can get kind of overwhelmed if you don't have ways to organize it, categorize it, or whatever, or you can develop your own way within yourself. That's all good too. Okay. What a beautiful, passionately driven, normally very confident soul that you are, right? And this dream that you have is there for a reason. It's there for you. It's there to draw you out of a coping mechanism that you have been in for long enough to learn everything that you needed to learn. And now, if you'd like to free yourself, look at this. This one's coming up first here. Like, it was still in the box, but I saw it and I know it's for you. Together, right? You have the right to be together with somebody. You just need to acknowledge what the process is that you're going through. Oh. And here's a label that we don't need to use. It says Twin Flame. And if you don't know, Twin Flame is a mirror soul that came here to help you learn things about yourself. So if you're feeling very drawn towards someone, it could be because they were the soul that agreed to come be an example for you, to shine that light on. And you guys have some work to do together. Okay, and sometimes you don't do that work while you're together in each other's presence. Sometimes you kind of like come in contact with each other, bounce off, and go do your work, And when there's no more bouncing, ideally you would then be working together to grow, right? So when you have the program that says run from my own happiness because it can't be real, you're bouncing. You're definitely bouncing. So that's one of the things that would be keeping you from working together with your Nine of Cups and celebrating, with others about how far you've come and just being an example to others. You are an important example, I feel like saying. Okay. Wow, really beautiful. Pick 2. Remember, this is just information to reflect on, meant to be helpful. Only take what is helpful to you. Leave the rest for someone else. And perhaps I will see you in a future reading. Bye now. Okay, pick 3. The purple Sharpie. First, I'm going to look at what's going on with you right now. King of Swords. Straight to the point. Very smart. Things are changing. You may be very to yourself about it, even though you like talking a lot. I think you feel like it's going to take a lot of work to get to your happiness, your happy place. You've been thinking a lot about what would have to change in order for you to achieve the happiness that you want, like the happy family, the goals, the like amount of money, the security, the family life, work life. And I feel like it's going to take some work, but like you're either working in private and nobody knows what steps you're taking, or you haven't started the work yet. For some of you, you haven't started the work yet. You're just thinking about it. The wheel is... something's trying to change, and I think you may... Okay. You may be refusing to take note of the changes or allow them or something. I don't know how you would avoid it, but something on the outside of you is changing. Let's see what the blocks say. Share, swim, flaky in love, marriage in love, and open. So you may be in an open marriage or flaking on your marriage. Okay. Maybe that's what you want. You've been inspired to meet someone and grow. Dance, swim, daily, share. I think you're very active. You're ready to call somebody. There's a lot of unknown on what will happen with that phone call, but you need to gain some perspective on this, whatever this is. You're very independent. So even if you're in a marriage, you're very independent. There's something that's like a very hard decision for you. You're very burdened, and we've got called, and then we've got phone. So some type of communication is really important, and you are a communicator. You're able to communicate. I think you know that something's going to change, and then there'll be some work to do. You might be opening your heart, open to love. If it's not about like an open marriage or flaking on marriage, it could be like you don't know if you can trust the way you feel. You don't know if you're like willing to open this can of worms, and maybe you really want marriage. You want to meet somebody that you can have marriage with. You've been inspired to grow, but you might feel like you're flaky on it. Like it's like, yeah, I gotta grow and stuff, but like, I'm not gonna do it. Which is gonna make things really a lot harder for you, if that's the case. Let's see. Okay, maybe you don't have the right tools for the job, I just heard. Steam. Yeah, steam and team both came out. Isn't that interesting? We got a little Hermes action going on here, right? Like with the rhyming and the King of Swords. You like words, don't you? I do too. So let's honor where you are right now. It's the perfect place for you to be. You're at like some sort of crossroads, it seems, though. And it feels like, okay, to help you make this decision, can you ask yourself, would it be harder or softer? Like, I'm going to make this phone call. Would that be harder or softer? You know, feel out what it would feel like. I'm going to do the work to change this, you know, whatever it is that needs to be changed here, to do the work. Will it be harder or softer? There's some sort of way that you feel burdened here. So you might want to share that burden with somebody else. Gain another perspective, you know, maybe you're inspired to gain some perspective and that's why you want to talk to somebody. There's some sort of teamwork that can be happening here. And yeah, lighter or heavier? Elaborate and light came out. Yeah, perhaps you have this like whole elaborate plan and actually you don't even know if that's how it's going to work out. And I have to say that one of the things that I had was brought to my attention today in my own lessons is that, you know, and I know better than to have attachment to outcome, right? Like my goal is to release attachments to outcome. But in one specific situation with one person, I was still hoping for a certain outcome. So I was attached to that outcome, right? I wanted that outcome. But God has a plan. And all I can have is experience. And then respond to the experience I'm having. Take my energy back from the experience and then, you know, integrate whatever I've learned and decide if I want to have another experience with that person. So I can't be like expecting or demanding of somebody else to be a certain way, to live up to a certain standard or fantasy that I have in my mind. So going into whatever you have to go into to, you know, find out what you want to find out might be easier and lighter if you do it without expectations. You know, like, you know that you have your back either way. You honor your process and whatever you are going to feel or do or think throughout the process. Like, that's all your stuff. That's all you really have to have responsibility for. And, like, also no attachment to the outcome. So, like, this could happen or this could happen. And either way, I'm going to be the one to be with myself. You know, it's like fine to want something. It's fine to desire something. But you also have to know that, like, there is a bigger divine plan that you might not be aware of at the moment. So you also have to have your back for whatever it is. You know, whatever this experience has to show you about yourself. Flowers, stuck. So without doing the work, you will be stuck. But something that can get you started is to be grateful. A lover. Lover came out. Can you be grateful for the experiences you've had up to this point? Can you be grateful for the intellect you have, for the desire, for the wanting, even for the attachment to any outcome that you may have had? Be grateful for that, because for the time it served a purpose. Maybe it was a purpose of living in fantasy was comforting, or maybe it was for the purpose of building a possibility. Like, that's one possibility. It's fully intact. Let's see if we can line up with it. Because when other people are involved, you know, their free will is involved too. So maybe they'll go on that stream with you that you created with your mind. It's very possible, but it's also not a guarantee, considering there's something bigger here. We've got persist. So where you're feeling a little bit stuck and don't want to do the work, do it. This is what this is saying. Just do it. Now we've got ask. Yeah, there's something that you want clarity on. This is suggesting you ask. The blue blocks have to do with communication. We've got phone, call, and ask. Just do it. Just do it. You know you have your back either way. We've got angel number. Any numbers that you've been coming in contact with repeatedly, look up that number and the word angel number on Google and see what the message is for you. You've got to disassemble the fear programs and the interference. Like whatever's interfering with you taking action at this time. You know, when we avoid taking action and the universe has something in store for us, do you know what comes next? The tower. The tower can be really scary for people. It doesn't have to be. To me, the tower is like, my life just changed in an unexpected way, and whatever I'm feeling, which in the beginning it was like ego deaths, and so I'd have to like be with myself through ego death, and yeah, there was tears, and yeah, there was comforting of myself and reassuring and regaining my equilibrium. But like now, after so many towers, it's like, like a tower's like stubbing my toe. It's like, what, like I'm not going to continue on? Of course I will. So there's something, so that fantasy that you have, that thing that you want, you have to make some effort to ground it. And the effort is either going to show you that it's realistic or not. This is something you don't know, right? We have pride here. Okay, so pride is something that we were taught in our culture. And it's something where we have placed an importance on feeling a certain way or holding ourselves in a certain place of importance. But it sells us short, because actually every place that we're in is honorable. Every part of the journey, and I think I talked about this in the intro. If you didn't catch it, I'll just repeat briefly, but you might want to listen to that. But like, you know, every part of the journey, even the practice, even the failures, even the unmet expectations, even the place where we get checked by the universe, it's all very important part of the process of achieving our goals and successes. So everything in the process is able to be honored. And that way, that means you could have just failed a try where you really wanted it to work out, and it feels really sad because you failed, but like, you're literally in a high vibration because you're honoring the fact that you failed. Whereas if you're holding out in order to have a success that you're expecting, you're in a lower vibration than pride until you achieve it. Then you can get to pride. Meanwhile, pride is literally it's not a high vibration at all. Honor is way above pride. Blessings, joy, happiness, courage, all above pride. You know what I'm saying? Okay. So it calls for courage, though, to like drop that egoic coping mechanism, which is tied to culture and expectations that were taught to us and bred into us and programmed as important. Our fear of making mistakes, our fear of judgment, our fear of being called out, of not fitting in, of being separated from the pack. You know, all of that stuff is prison, in my opinion. Like, because once I freed myself of that stuff, it's like, whew, you know, I'm going to be me. The people that like me will like me, and the people that don't like me won't like me. Like, none of it has anything to do with my value. My value is inherent. I'm having experiences here on earth. That's what this is. So when I have to be courageous, I do it. And this is saying decide to be courageous. Now, I'm not saying everything, you know, of course, there are probably things that I'll learn about myself where I still don't have what it takes to be courageous. But when I find out and I do need to be courageous, I'll do the work that is shown to me that would need to be done in order to get myself to that place, because that's what life is. That's the fun part. That's like the growth. That's the honoring of my process. There's no shame in that. There's nothing gone wrong. I'm not imperfect. I'm not lesser. Like, you know what? No one is. Like, telepathy. All right. We had phone, call, and ask. And I feel like someone said this the other day on a reading I watched, and I really liked what she said, because I do believe in telepathy. I know that it's real, and I know that I've had telepathy with some people at some times, and I know that telepathy is something that we are opening to as we evolve on Earth. But I also know that, this is what she said, that most people don't trust it. And I would have to say that's probably true. So even if you feel like you're telepathically connected to another party, call them and ask, because won't that be a fun conversation? Like, maybe set the intention of a certain topic for them to bring up, or for them to say something certain, like a phrase or a word, and like send it to them telepathically first and then contact them. Experiment, have fun with life. Like, this is just like some stuff we're doing to live and have fun and learn and grow, and like, you have something that you want to achieve here. Honor every step along the process, make it as enjoyable as you can, and do that every day. Dance through your day. I think you do know how to make your life fun. I think you're very intelligent, and I think you're open, and I think you are just in this stage of like wanting to have it all now, ready to have it all. And so it's just like saying, yeah, you can have it all. Just do the steps and have fun while you're doing it, because all's right there for you. And if you want to have it all with a certain person, just call them. Like, see if that's something that they're open to. See what kind of, see what their all looks like. I'm not saying, like, if this is a person that you're afraid to call, you probably don't know them well enough yet to, like, jump into marriage, but, like, maybe, you have conversations to even know if that's, like, something that they're wanting for their lives. It's an important thing to note if you're having fantasies about them being your marriage partner, So we've got the decision, and it says wait, and then soul. Are you saying that you'd like, their soul would like them to wait? So far it's ungrounded, so if you're not ready to put your heart on your sleeve, if you're not ready to call this person up and be like, I really like you, do you want to go get coffee? Like, if you're not ready to do that, or I think you find you very inspiring, or do you want to go swimming? Do you want to go dancing with me? I'd like to bring you some flowers. Would that be okay? Like, if you're not ready to, like, put your heart on your sleeve, then maybe wait until you're ready, which might require you to do some of that work first, right? That's what this is saying. It's like, if you go in the energy of not having done the things that you need to do in order to get to where you're going, that wouldn't be terrible. But you might have to say, hey, I'm working on this. When I'm ready, I was wondering if you might be interested in going out. It's like, well, I can tell you that we've got the completion card. I can tell you that one time a guy did that to me. He called me up, or he messaged me actually, and he said, hey, I think about you all the time, every day, I'm always thinking about you, and really like you. In so many words, this is what he said, basically. And I'm like, out of my relationship, but I'm still in the same house, but I'm working on getting out. I'll be out by the next season, and I'd like to, see you or whatever. And I was just like, you're still in the same house as her, and you're asking me if I would like to see you in 3 months time. Or it could have even been 6 months at that point, right? It's like, it was like the next season. So how long's a season? Like 3 months or something. But anyway, it was like a while, you know? It was like, and I was just like, well, you know, how about you talk to me when you are in that situation? Because, like, I don't feel comfortable talking to you while you're still in the house with someone that you say you're breaking up with, but, like, obviously you're not actually free yet, right? Like what are you gonna do? Go out and date people while you go home to her? Like, no thanks. Like, you know? And now I probably wouldn't even think like that. Now I probably could respect that somebody would share a house with their ex without being intimate or anything like that. I could probably see it happening. But at the time this happened to me, I was not open to it because it seemed like that was not up to my standard and my value. Like, I felt like I valued myself higher than that. I felt like I was worthy of somebody who was ready to date now. And if not, would at least have conversations with me. Like, so what he did, you know, I said like, let's talk about it when you're free, you know? And instead, what I watched him do was go and date other women. And that to me was just, that sealed it for me. I was like, oh, all right. This guy is nuts if he thinks that I'm on a back burner. I'm one of a choice of a buffet menu that he's perusing while he decides, you know, I'm just like, no, like, is he telling every woman that he just thinks about them all the time? Like, is that his pickup line? Like, I was just completely unimpressed. So I'm telling you from my perspective of somebody coming to me with future plans for us, maybe when they get there, what they have a lot to do first, you know. So in that way, this might be like a wait, but it doesn't mean that you can't call. It doesn't mean that you can't get like a perspective of someone else, because let's face it, like, I told that man that I was interested, but I wasn't interested while he was living in his situation. If he was planning on getting out, that's great. Like, it just sounded like he literally just broke up with her and he's calling me, you know what I mean? Like I was honest with him and told him I am interested, but I'm just kind of not really like wanting to like deal with all that, your baggage, right? And if he really did feel that about me, if he had had this like picture of me as the one, right, then he would have just done the work that it needed to be done and stayed in contact with me and like let me know where he was at in the process, right? Instead of going off dating other people and playing the field. So if you, depending on your situation, if it's like a situation where you really do want to know if this person is into it, like a conversation, a call isn't going to hurt that, because then you know, right? Because I let him know, and if he would have decided to operate differently, then this could be a different conversation that we're having right now. But either way, that was an option for him. The decision he made was to go another way, probably out of codependency, right? Because codependency says I need somebody to be there for me and make me feel important as I go along this journey. I need to like leap off this one, I want to say something rude right now, but like leap off one tit to go to another. Like it's like, mommy, be here for me kind of energy. Like, you know what I mean? So if you're not in that kind of energy, then that's a different story. And I would just say, like, a phone call is mentioned so many times here that I just feel like that might not be what you need to wait for, but you might need to wait for until, oh yeah, the completion card, the world card came out and I split the deck. Yeah, you might need to wait for making sure something else is ended. Like if you're in something else, make sure that's ended, I would say, because that's the story that came out, right? So I apply my stories to my readings because that's how I get impressions. That's how I do readings. A lot of times it's like I'll be flashed back to a memory of a person from my past and like how they were, and then excuse me, that translates to the energy that I'm being shown in the card, you know what I mean? It's like I've met an array of different people, so like different people will be flashed into me and how I felt in a certain situation or what happened. So that's why I use that as part of the reading. So it's just information to reflect on, though. Only take what's useful to you. Looks like, you know, a lot of encouragement to continue having fun in your life, but to do the work, to persist on the work, to really like take the steps to go to this place where you're going, to the full fulfillment that you want for your life, that you've seen. All right, only take what's helpful to you, leave the rest, and perhaps I'll see you in a future reading. Pick 4. You got the thicker pink Sharpie. And this is your reading. Let's see what energy you're in at this time. Working hard, man. Working hard. Ready for love. Open-hearted. Don't really want to give up. You know, maybe like saving up. I'm going to say saving up. But like, also it's like you don't want to spend a lot right now. Maybe like maybe you're saving up for a date or something like that. There's also some sort of conflict. Sometimes it could be inner conflict. It could be inner conflict. It could be conflict where somebody's trying to like take more than you have to give. You seem to have a good plan and trajectory for where your work is taking you. What you have a plan for what you want to spend on, and you're saving up until then. Maybe it's hard too. Maybe other people have opinions on what you should be spending on and things like that. I'm gonna get one more. I'm gonna get some clarification on 5 of Wands. Yeah, a lot of people got opinions for you, don't they? A lot of people have opinions and they're conflicting with what you think is important, maybe. And it's maybe hard to trust yourself on it. You know what you want, and it's... and you know you want to share it with somebody. Yeah, you might not want to, like, share with everybody, but you want to share with somebody. Oh, interesting. It could ask... it could be requiring you to really, like, look at yourself and what's driving you. Passion is driving you. Okay. Shallow things are driving you because passion and money, okay, not that, I'm going to take that back. I want to rephrase that. You're going on the premise that you need to have money and passion. Okay? You do have the Knight of Cups, right? This is the Knight of Cups. Yeah. You're willing to dive into love too. Oh, how beautiful is this? You're not going to let anything hold you back. I think you're standing up for yourself too. You're trying to decide if this is like, for fear of repeating what other readings have said, too good to be true. Yes, so much interference. Look, we got interference on top of that 5 of Wands. But you're ready to take action. And, you know, I don't think you're miserly or anything. You're able to give from your overflow. So it's like you need your money or you need your stuff for something right now. So you're not going to just like flow it out everywhere. But when you have more than... when you have what you need, then you'd be willing to give. Like, because I don't think you're a greedy person or anything. I think that you just have your eye on some sort of prize. You have a vision. And I think it's a very deep bond that you are trying to pursue. What the heck does this say? Message. Yeah, you may need to message somebody, text message, or that says message, right? Yes, it does. I can see it easier on the camera. Yeah, I have that song, I Wasn't Expecting That. I think, I don't know who sings it, but you might want to listen to that song for more messages, or it might mean something to you. Now we've got talk. Message, talk, comfortable, more mystery. This has come out in 3 of the 4 piles. And partner. So the partner you're with that you want to share this with, or somebody that you want to be with, very important to you. Very deep bond. You are a very kind person, willing to consider other opinions, but I think that you're noticing maybe the motives of other people. They're not understanding what is important to you at this time. You're ready to discover some things. You might even be ready to make an offer. You're right on time for this. Alright, so this could be different stages. Okay, so very interesting. If you were drawn to more than one pick, this could be different stages of the same person's like evolution of relation or relating. You know what I mean? So you could recognize past, present, future. You could be drawn to this again in the future. But whatever you were drawn to intuitively would be the appropriate message for you at the stage you're in now. We'll say that, okay? Movement's very important to you right now. Taking action, moving. But taking it easy too, but also knowing that you could have to swim upstream. You know, like the salmon, that's like the salmon's path. If your path has been generally hard, you probably have a high calling here on Earth. I think you are very, very serious about this love bond. And it almost feels like you wouldn't even be able to break away from it if you wanted. You could be really unsure about it too, but it's where you feel comfortable. Something feels nice. It makes you want to discover more. This person could be like the opposite of you in a lot of ways. It could have entered your dreams. You could have dreams about them. It could be like your conscious dreams or like your dream time. I think you feel an intimate soul bond with somebody. Yeah. And it could feel like bondage at times, right? If you're not looking at it in the high light that it is. And you might worry that this is an illusion. You know, it's funny because okay, so twin flame journey, when I was first introduced to the concept, I learned about it and I realized, oh my gosh, this resonates with me, and I kind of set out on my spiritual journey even deeper based on the twin flame dynamic and all what I could learn about it from others. A lot of it was talking about how oftentimes there's some sort of lessons or things that you're trying to learn, and then there'll be people trying to keep you apart because it's a very high vibrational, union. And this kind of talks about that, this reading, right? Like there's interference, people people are made uneasy by it. People are opposing it. And it's like hard to ground it in at times, but you just can't break away out of it. You feel so drawn to it. So it's like having communication about this is important because, twin flame journeys are meant to mirror to us our insecurities, our weaknesses, our karmas. All of that gets cleared out so that we can be in balance. And unless we're balanced, we're not going to stay in union with a twin flame by any means. Okay, so a relationship like this requires balance. Communication is probably a really good idea, and being willing to do all this hard work is so on point for what will need to be done. If love is the prize, right? If this comfortable, beautiful union based on kindness and mutual respect, intimacy, and soul bonds is what gets to flourish out of this, then that's very beautiful. But that is also like what originally the twin flame journey was sold to me as. And what I've come to realize about just relating in general is that the old paradigm is dying, and the old paradigm had sort of like obligations and imbalance and karmic ties and bonds. And I would invite us to take those things to a higher kind of level and frequency, and deal with each other on more of this like balanced place where it's like no expectations of each other and no attachment to the outcome, but knowing that there's a mutual respect and a willingness to grow and learn together, and based on whether or not you're enjoying the experiences that you're having and whether or not it's self-loving to continue the experiences you're having with each other, you go on based on that. It doesn't mean you don't end up having a commitment or anything like that. If you come into balance and both people want that, I think that's beautiful. And in fact, that's something that I want in my life. But I would just say, like, the new relating paradigm, and I'm big on this, and if you haven't watched my channel before, then you might not realize, but I have developed a fair relating reflection deck that I sell on my website, and it's based on relating in a fair, balanced manner. And the twin flame dynamic can absolutely do it, and I think it's required of us, but also it's like, this looks like the perfect setup for it, to be honest. It's like, it's work, it's like work, and it's devotion, and it's growing together, and it's trusting self, it's putting self first and giving from the overflow. It's addressing any illusions, getting on the same page, acting like the uncomfortable or sour things that happen are a gift to be worked through. And this is using the word sour as if it's like, this is like, ooh, an off note. It's not something serious or detrimental that you can't work through. It's just like an off note. An off note is what reveals to you where more harmony can be allowed if we face whatever that is that's causing the sour, the off note. It's like a whole evolution of discovering self on a deeper level and freeing self to a more expansive place, and to share it with another is very, very beautiful. So, very interesting, and beautiful, and just information for you to reflect on. And I would say, like, overall, what I'd say about this is, like, good for you. You embraced the perspective that you needed, which was to listen to your own self, your own heart, your own soul, instead of other people who are opposing, who may not have, like, people who may not be on board with what you want or are doing. They have their own agenda, And you're not obliged to live their agenda. They are, you know? You may have had to hold back very passionate responses to some of these opposing forces. I think you're ready to celebrate and have a conversation. Have a conversation. Share your heart, even if it was broken. Shift this. Change this around. Let something change in this. You know, maybe if there was interference, it needs to be talked about and shared. Rest, get ready, make sure you have everything in perspective for yourself before you go forward. And be ready to be with yourself either way, no matter the outcome. And if you have to mourn the loss of things that you're going to need to leave behind because they don't support you going forward, do that as well. But remember, there's always, you know, it's like, what is the opportunity in this? Oh, you had to part ways with your, you know, lifelong friends or your family. That's really sad, and that is going to take some mourning, and you're going to need to go through all that process of mourning. But then after that, it's important to know that, yeah, like, there is an opportunity now for lining up with people who get you, who are on the same path as you, who have the same hopes, dreams, and goals as you. You, I think, are a very independent person and may have been really reluctant to be vulnerable, especially when you're surrounded by people who are aggressive and stuff. Like, that's not the most comfortable time to be vulnerable. So it's going to be like practicing for you, I think. And you might want to share that, right? Share, like, well, you know, I know it's going to be hard for me to be vulnerable, but I'm willing to try. And, like, that's going to plant a seed for whatever's going to happen next. And you have to have your own back no matter what it is. Okay. Alright, so I am going to, there might be a decision to make later on. Okay, I'm going to close your reading there. And I know this one wasn't as long as the others, but I just feel like you're on track, you're doing well. You know, you have your shit together or whatever, so you'll be able to handle what happens next. Remember, it's just information to reflect on. Take what's helpful to you, leave the rest, and perhaps I'll see you in a future reading.